On the far edge of the Andromeda spiral, where starlight bent like glass and time moved in slow ripples, hung the moon of Virelis. It was not a moon made of rock or ice, but of living crystal that sang when the twin suns passed overhead. The ground shimmered with veins of silver and blue, and the air carried a soft hum, like a lullaby whispered by the universe itself. Here, in this quiet corner of the galaxy, lived Lyra. Lyra was small, barely 3 feet tall, with skin like pale moonstone traced by faint silver lines that glowed when she felt strong emotion. Her ears tapered to delicate points and her eyes held the color of deep space just before dawn. Dark, but full of hidden light. She belonged to the Silthari, an ancient race once known across the stars for their wisdom, their songs that could calm solar storms, and their bond with the sky dragons. But that was long ago. Now the Silthari were few. Their glory faded, their voices barely heard in the councils of the galaxy. Lyra was the last of the royal line. Not that anyone remembered. Not that anyone cared. The Galactic Council, made up of dozens of species from 100 worlds, had long dismissed the Silthari as relics. Beautiful, yes, but useless in an age of plasma cannons and warp drives. They called Lyra the ornament behind her back. Too small to fight, too quiet to command, too strange to understand. She wore the royal robes, yes, but only because no one had bothered to take them away. She lived in the old observatory on the highest ridge of Virelis, not because it was a palace, but because it was empty. The real nobles had moved to the council's orbital stations, where deals were made and wars were planned over cups of synthetic nectar. Lyra did not mind the solitude. She preferred it. While others schemed for power, she studied the stars. She knew the names of dead constellations, the pulse of distant pulsars, the secret rhythms of black holes. She spoke to the wind, and sometimes the wind answered. But her only true friend was Ember. Ember was a dragon, or at least he was supposed to be. Dragons of the Silthari were legendary. Massive beings with wings that blotted out suns, scales that reflected entire galaxies, and voices that could rewrite the laws of physics. They were partners in war and peace, bonded to Silthari royals from birth. But Ember was different. He was no bigger than a house cat with dull, patchy scales and no wings at all. His eyes were clouded and he moved with a limp. The elders had declared him defective at hatching. A broken vessel, they said. No resonance. No future. They had meant to put him down. But Lyra, then only a child, had hidden him in the archives beneath the observatory. She fed him stardust moss and sang him the old cradle songs. Over the years, Ember grew, not in size but in loyalty. He followed her everywhere, curling around her shoulders like a living scarf or nuzzling her hand when she grew sad. He couldn't fly. He couldn't roar, but he listened. And in a world that had stopped listening to Lyra long ago, that meant everything. Life on Virelis had been peaceful for centuries. The Silthari kept to themselves, tending their crystal gardens and recording the slow dance of the cosmos. But peace never lasts when empires grow hungry. The Cathar came without warning. They were a brutal, warlike species from the scorched rim worlds, tall, armored in black chitin, with eyes like burning coals and voices like grinding stone. They did not ask for surrender. They simply arrived in a fleet of jagged warships that blotted out the twin suns and began harvesting Virelis like a crop. They tore up the singing crystal fields, melted the observatories for raw materials, and rounded up any Silthari they found. The Galactic Council did nothing. Virelis had no strategic value, they claimed. No weapons, no rare minerals, no jump gates. Just pretty rocks and fairy tales. So they ordered an evacuation, but only for those deemed essential. The high priests, the scholars with useful data, the diplomats with connections. Lyra's name was not on the list. She watched from the observatory's highest balcony as shuttles lifted off, carrying the last of her people into the sky. Ember trembled against her side, his small body tight with fear. She stroked his head, whispering a calming verse in the old tongue. "They do not see us," she murmured, "so we are safe. For now." But safety was an illusion. By the third day of the invasion, the Cathar had reached the ridge. Their heavy boots cracked the crystal pathways. Their scanners swept the ruins, hunting for anything of value. Lyra knew they would come for the observatory soon. It held the oldest star maps in the sector, maps that showed routes through unstable wormholes, paths the Cathar could use to strike at council worlds. She could not let that happen. In the dead of the second night, she gathered what she could: a satchel of dried moss cakes, a vial of liquid starlight, a Silthari healing tonic, and the royal data crystal, a palm-sized shard that held the complete history of her people. She wrapped Ember in a thermal cloak and slipped into the lower tunnels, the ones even the elders had forgotten. The air grew cold and still. The hum of Virellis faded behind them. They emerged hours later in the Valley of Echoes, a dry basin where the wind carried voices from the past. It was said that if you listened closely, you could hear your ancestors speak. Lyra did not hear them. She only heard the distant thud of Cathar engines. For 2 more days they hid among the stone spires, surviving on dew and silence. Ember grew weaker. His breathing was shallow, his scales losing what little luster they had. Lyra sang to him constantly, pouring her own energy into the bond they shared. But she was running out of strength too. On the morning of the 5th day, the sky darkened again, not with Cathar ships, but with something else. A human vessel, small, sleek, marked with the blue and white insignia of the United Earth Defense Fleet. It hovered low over the valley, scanning the ground. Lyra pulled Ember deeper into the shadows, heart pounding. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, loud, emotional, unpredictable. Some called them reckless. Others called them brave. Lyra did not know what to call them. The ship's ramp lowered. A figure stepped out, tall, wearing a dark uniform with a red stripe on the shoulder. Short brown hair, sharp eyes, a rifle slung across her back. She moved with purpose, scanning the rocks, the sky, the ground. Then she stopped, turned, looked directly at the crevice where Lyra hid. Lyra froze. Ember let out a tiny whimper. The human did not raise her weapon. Instead, she knelt, placing her rifle on the ground. She held up one hand, palm open, a gesture of peace, though Lyra had never seen it before. "I know you're there," the human said, her voice calm but firm. "I'm not with the Cathar. I'm here to help." Lyra did not move. No one helped the forgotten. The human waited. Then softly she added, "I saw your name on the evacuation list." "It wasn't there. That's why I came back." Lyra's breath caught. Someone had noticed her absence. Slowly, trembling, she stepped into the light. Ember clutched to her chest. The human's eyes widened, not in fear, not in disgust, but in something like wonder. "You're real," the human whispered. "They said you were just a myth." Lyra said nothing. She did not trust words anymore. The human stood but kept her distance. "My name is Dana Cruz. I'm captain of the Estrellas. The Cathar are sweeping this sector again in 6 hours. If you stay, you won't survive." Lyra looked down at Ember. His eyes were half closed, his body cold. She looked back at Dana. This human had come alone. Risked her ship. For her, why? Lyra asked, her voice barely a whisper, rough from disuse. Dana met her gaze. Because everyone deserves to be seen. In that moment, something shifted. Not in the sky, not in the stars, but in Lyra's heart. For the first time in years, she felt chosen. She nodded. Dana smiled. A small, tired smile, but real. She picked up her rifle, then held out her hand again. Not to take, but to offer. Lyra hesitated only a second before stepping forward. Ember stirred weakly, letting out a soft chime-like sound, the closest he could come to a purr. As they walked toward the ship, Lyra glanced back at Virellis one last time. The crystal moon glowed faintly under the twin suns, already scarred, already dying, but she was still alive. And now she had a chance. The ramp closed behind them. The engines hummed to life, and as the Estrellas shot into the sky, leaving the ruins below, Lyra held Ember close and whispered a new song, one of hope, of flight, of a future no one had believed she'd have. The galaxy had overlooked her, but one human had not. The Estrellas cut through the void like a needle through dark cloth. Inside, the air hummed with the quiet rhythm of life support and distant comms chatter. Lyra sat curled in the corner of the medical bay, Ember resting in her lap, his breathing slow but steady. The human ship felt strange, too sharp, too loud, too full of metal that did not sing. But it was safe. For now. Dana Cruz stood by the door, arms crossed, watching her. She had not spoken much since they left Virellis. She had given Lyra clean clothes, warm broth, and a soft blanket. She had ordered the ship's medic to check Ember, though the man had frowned and said, "It's just a lizard, Captain." Dana had glared until he backed off. Now, she stepped forward. "How is he?" she asked, nodding at Ember. "He is resting," Lyra said softly. Her voice was still rough but clearer than before. He used too much energy. He will be weak for many cycles. Dana nodded. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes, uniform wrinkled, hair messy. She had not slept since the rescue. We're heading to the Alliance outpost near Helios 9. It's the closest safe zone. We should be there in 2 days. Lyra did not answer. She knew what awaited them at Helios 9. Judgment. Questions. Orders. The Galactic Council would not be happy that Dana had taken her. As if reading her thoughts, Dana added, "They'll want to debrief you. Ask about the Cathar, about Virellis, about everything." "They will not believe me," Lyra said. "They never do." Dana sat on the edge of the medbed, careful not to crowd her. "Maybe not. But I do." Lyra looked up. Dana's eyes were steady, honest. No pity, no mockery, just truth. "Why did you come back for me?" Lyra asked again the question she had carried since the valley. Dana was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "When I was a kid on Mars Colony 7, I was the smallest in my class. Always last picked for teams. Teachers said I'd never make it to flight school. My name wasn't on any important lists either. So when I saw your name missing, it felt wrong, like someone had erased you." Lyra understood. Being unseen was a kind of death. Over the next day, Dana showed her around the ship. The Astraeus was small for a military vessel, just over 200 meters long, crew of 40. It was fast, agile, built for scouting, not war. Lyra learned the names of a few crew members. Tina at comms, Leo in engineering, Maya the medic. Most avoided her. Some stared. One engineer muttered, "We risked our necks for a doll and her pet." But Dana heard it and silenced him with a look. Only Tina was kind. She brought Lyra fruit from the hydroponics bay, real apples, crisp and sweet. "Never seen anything like you," Tina said, smiling. "You're like a storybook come alive." Lyra did not know what a storybook was, but she liked Tina's voice. Meanwhile, Ember began to stir. On the second night, he lifted his head and let out a soft chiming sound. Lyra fed him a paste of crushed star moss and nutrient gel. He ate slowly, then curled around her wrist like a bracelet. His scales shimmered faintly, just a hint of silver returning. Dana watched from the doorway. "He's getting better." "He is," Lyra said. "But he is not whole." "Not yet." "What do you mean?" "Ember is not broken," Lyra explained. "He is waiting. Silthuri dragons do not breathe fire like your old myths. They channel resonance, the music of the stars. But to do that, they need a bond, a true one. And a reason to wake." Dana frowned. "A reason, purpose," Lyra said simply. Before Dana could ask more, the ship's alarm blared. A short, sharp tone. Red lights flashed once, then returned to calm blue. "Cathar Patrol." Tina's voice came over the intercom. 3 skiffs. Long-range scanners. "They haven't spotted us yet." Dana stood quickly. "Stay here. Lock the door if you hear anything strange." Lyra nodded. But as Dana left, Ember let out a low hum, a sound Lyra had never heard before. It vibrated through the floor, faint but deep. The lights flickered. "Ember," she whispered. He lifted his head, eyes glowing faintly blue. He turned toward the ship's starboard side, the direction of the Cathar skiffs. Lyra's heart raced. She knew what this meant. Ember was sensing them, not with sight or sound, but with something deeper. The resonance within him was reacting to the Cathar's engines, their violent, disharmonious energy. She made a choice. She wrapped Ember in the thermal cloak and slipped into the corridor. The ship was quiet. Crew at battle stations. She followed the hum in her bones, the pull in her chest, until she reached the observation blister on Deck 4. A small dome of reinforced glass facing deep space. Through it, she saw them. 3 jagged Cathar skiffs, black against the starfield, moving in a slow, sweep pattern. They were close, too close. Ember trembled in her arms. Then, without warning, he opened his mouth and released a single note. It was not loud. It was not fiery. But it was pure. The note shot out like a ripple in water, invisible but powerful. It struck the nearest skiff, and the ship's engine flared wildly, then died. The skiff spun, lights flickering out. The other 2 jerked as if struck, their systems glitching. On the bridge, Dana stared at her screens. "What just happened?" Tina checked the sensors. "I don't know, Captain. It's like their power cores overloaded from the inside. No weapons fire. No debris, just silence." Dana's eyes went wide. She turned and ran. She found Lyra in the blister, Ember panting in her arms, his glow fading fast. "You did that?" Dana asked, breathless. "Ember did," Lyra said, holding him close. "But it cost him. He's very weak now." Dana looked from the drifting Cathar skiffs to the tiny alien in front of her. Realization dawned. "You weren't hiding a pet. You were hiding a weapon." "No," Lyra said firmly. "He is not a weapon. He is a guardian, and he only acts when the balance is broken." Dana nodded slowly. "I believe you." But the moment was broken by a new alert. This time it was not a patrol. It was a full transmission from the Galactic Council. "Captain Cruz," came the voice of Admiral Voss, a stern human with a reputation for cold logic. "You are ordered to return immediately to Helios 9. You have violated protocol by extracting a non-essential civilian. Hand over the Silthari subject and her animal for evaluation. Failure to comply will result in your arrest." Dana's jaw tightened. "They want to take you," she said to Lyra. "They will study Ember," Lyra whispered. "They will try to control him. Or worse, destroy him." Dana looked at her, then at the fading glow of the Cathar ships. She thought of the note Ember had sung, the power in it. "The Grace, no," she said. "What? No, I won't hand you over." Lyra stared. "They will call you a traitor." "Maybe," Dana said. "But I saw what he did. And I saw how they treated you. If that's treason, then so be it." She activated the ship's comm. "Admiral Voss, this is Captain Cruz. The Silthari subject is under my protection. I am invoking Article 9 of the Alliance Charter, right of sanctuary for endangered sentient life. I will not comply with your order." Silence. "Then you are relieved of command, Cruz. The Astraeus is now under fleet control. Prepare for boarding." Dana cut the transmission. "Tina, lock down all external comms. Leo, reroute power to stealth systems. Maya, prep the escape pods just in case." "Where are we going?" Lyra asked. "Somewhere they won't look," Dana said. "The nebula of shattered crowns. It's a dead zone, full of radiation, magnetic storms, and old wreckage. No one goes there, not even the Cathar. It is also where the old Silthari buried their dead," Lyra said softly, "and their secrets." Dana raised an eyebrow. "You know it, I have read of it," Lyra said. "In the Royal Archives. It is said that the first dragons sleep there in stasis, waiting for the song that will wake them." Dana looked at Ember, now barely conscious in Lyra's arms. "Then that's where we're going." The Astraeus turned, diving into the shadow of a passing comet, then leapt into warp. Behind them, 3 Alliance destroyers powered up, giving chase. For the next 30 hours they ran. Dana pushed the ship to its limits, weaving through asteroid belts, cutting engines to drift silently past patrols, using solar flares to mask their heat signature. The crew was tense. Some whispered that Dana had lost her mind, but no one refused her orders. They had seen the Cathar skiffs die without a shot fired. They believed Lyra stayed in the medbay, nursing Ember back to strength with drops of liquid starlight. She sang to him constantly, old songs of courage, of stars being born, of dragons rising. Slowly, his glow returned. His eyes cleared. He began to eat on his own. On the second day, as the nebula came into view, a swirling mass of purple and gold gas, littered with the skeletons of ancient warships, Lyra spoke. "There is a place inside," she said. "The Throne of Echoes. It is made from the heart of a dead star. If Ember can reach it, he may heal fully." "And if the Alliance follows us?" Dana asked. "Then we face them," Lyra said. "But not with guns. With truth." Dana smiled faintly. "You're braver than you look." "And you are kinder than you seem," Lyra replied. As the Astraeus entered the nebula, static filled the comms. Sensors went blind. The ship groaned under the pressure of warped space. But Dana held course, guided only by instinct and the faint hum coming from Ember, who now sat on Lyra's shoulder, eyes fixed ahead. Deep in the nebula, hidden behind a veil of ion storms. They found it. A massive structure shaped like a coiled dragon, half buried in wreckage. The Throne of Echoes. Dana landed the ship on a stable platform of fused metal. Outside, the air crackled with energy. Colors shifted in impossible ways. Time itself felt thin. Lyra stepped out, Ember on her arm. Dana followed, rifle ready but not raised. "This is it," Lyra whispered. As they approached the throne, Ember let out a low. The Alliance destroyers hung in the nebula like wolves circling prey. Their weapons glowed red, ready to fire. Inside the lead ship, Admiral Voss watched the feed from his scouts. Captain Dana Cruz standing beside a tiny alien girl, and above them, a creature of light and sound that defied every known law of physics. "Target the dragon first," Voss ordered. "It's the threat." But before the order could be carried out, Ember moved. He did not attack. He simply opened his wings wider and sang. The sound was not heard with ears. It was felt in the bones, in the circuits, in the very fabric of space. A deep, pure tone that rippled outward like a stone dropped in still water. It struck the nearest destroyer, and the ship's shields flickered, then collapsed. Not from damage, but from imbalance. The tone had matched the ship's energy frequency and canceled it out. Like two waves meeting and becoming still, the destroyer drifted, powerless. The other two ships hesitated. On the ground, Dana stared up at Ember, heart pounding. "What just happened? He did not destroy them," Lyra said, eyes wide with awe. "He silenced their noise. Their machines cannot function in true harmony." Dana understood. Ember was not a weapon of war. He was a force of balance, but the Alliance would not see it that way. "They will try again," Dana said, "and next time they will not hold back." Lyra nodded. She looked at the throne of echoes, still pulsing with soft light. "We must go deeper. There is more here. I can feel it." Dana radioed Tina on the Astraeus. "Get the ship ready to move. We're not staying." "Captain?" Tina's voice crackled. "Sensors show a massive energy spike below the throne, like a vault opening." "Then that's where we're headed," Dana said. She turned to Lyra. "Can Ember carry us?" Lyra looked up. Ember lowered himself, his wings folding gently. He landed before them, eyes calm, body humming with quiet power. He dipped his head toward Lyra, then looked at Dana. "He says yes," Lyra said. Dana climbed onto his back, gripping the ridges along his spine. Lyra sat in front, Ember's neck warm beneath her hands. With a single beat of his wings, soundless, yet shaking the air, they rose into the sky. Below, the throne split open, revealing a staircase spiraling down into darkness. Ember dove. The passage was narrow, lined with ancient Silthari carvings that glowed as they passed. The air grew colder, heavier. Time seemed to slow. Dana felt her thoughts stretch, memories flashing. Her childhood on Mars, her first flight, the moment she saw Lyra in the valley. Lyra felt it too. Visions came unbidden. Her ancestors standing on this very path, singing the songs that shaped stars. She saw the last great dragon flight, the sealing of the vault, the sacrifice made to protect something far older than war. "What is down there?" Dana asked, her voice small. "The heart of our people," Lyra whispered. "And the reason the Cathar want Virelis." They reached the bottom. A vast chamber opened before them, lit by floating orbs of blue flame. In the center stood a pedestal, and on it rested a single object, a crown made of woven starlight and black crystal. It pulsed like a living thing. Lyra stepped forward, drawn to it. Ember stayed close, his light casting long shadows. As she touched the crown, knowledge flooded her mind. The Silthari had not fallen because they were weak. They had chosen to fade. Long ago, they discovered a being sleeping in the void between galaxies, a primordial entity born from chaos, older than time. It fed on war, on fear, on broken harmony. The Silthari realized that if it ever woke, it would devour all creation. So they built a prison of song, a cosmic lullaby woven into the fabric of space. And they placed the key to that prison inside the crown. As long as the song held, the entity slept. But the Cathar had found fragments of the old texts. They believed the entity was a weapon they could control. They thought if they broke the song, they could ride the chaos to rule the galaxy. They were wrong. Breaking the song would not give them power. It would end everything. Lyra staggered back, tears streaming down her face. "They do not understand," she whispered. "They will wake it by accident." Dana placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we have to stop them." "How?" Lyra asked. "The Alliance thinks we are rebels. The Cathar think we are hiding treasure. No one will listen." Ember let out a soft chime. He nudged the crown with his nose, then looked at Lyra. She understood. "The binding hymn," she said. "The final song. If I sing it here with the crown and Ember's power, I can strengthen the prison, maybe even make it unbreakable." "How long will it take?" Dana asked. "One full cycle of the twin suns," Lyra said. "About 30 hours, Dana's face fell. "We don't have that long. The Alliance will send more ships. The Cathar are already searching for this place." Lyra looked at the crown, then at Ember, then at Dana. Then you must buy me time. Dana nodded. I will. She climbed back onto Ember. Take her back to the Astreus. Keep her safe. I'll hold the entrance. You cannot fight 3 destroyers alone, Lyra said. I don't have to win, Dana replied. I just have to last. Ember carried Lyra back to the surface. Dana stayed behind, setting up motion sensors and jury-rigged explosives from the ship's repair kit. She found a narrow choke point in the canyon, easy to defend. On the Astreus, Lyra placed the crown on the command console. It glowed brighter, syncing with the ship's systems. Ember coiled around the base of the console, his hum blending with the ship's hum. Tina and Leo watched in silence. What do we do? Tina asked. Protect her, Leo said. Whatever she's doing. It matters. Lyra closed her eyes and began to sing. Her voice was soft at first, barely a whisper. But it grew, layer upon layer, note upon note, until the entire ship vibrated with it. Lights dimmed and brightened in rhythm. Consoles displayed strange symbols. The Astreus was becoming part of the song. Outside, Dana waited. The first destroyer appeared at the canyon mouth. It fired a warning shot, a plasma bolt that exploded against the far wall. Dana raised her hands. I just want to talk. The ship's comms crackled. Surrender the Silthari and the creature now. Or what? Dana called back. You'll shoot me, a woman standing alone with no weapons. Silence. Then the ship lowered a boarding pod. 6 Marines stepped out, armored, weapons ready. Dana did not move. You know Admiral Voss is wrong, don't you? You saw what that dragon did. It didn't kill. It protected. One Marine hesitated. Orders are orders. Then follow them, Dana said. But know this. If you take her, you risk waking something that will end us all. The Marines exchanged glances. Then their leader raised his rifle. But before he could fire, the ground shook. Ember rose from the Astreus, wings spread, eyes blazing. He did not attack. He simply hovered between Dana and the Marines, singing a single steady note. The Marines' weapons flickered and died. Their armor locked up. They stood frozen, not by force but by harmony. The destroyer above powered up its main cannon. Dana shouted, If you fire, you break the balance, and then none of us survive. The ship paused. In that moment, a new signal cut through the comms. Alliance forces. This is Cathar, command vessel Voidrend. You are trespassing in Cathar-claimed space. Surrender or be destroyed. Everyone froze. The Cathar had found them. 3 massive Cathar dreadnoughts emerged from the nebula's edge, black and jagged, bristling with weapons. They ignored the Alliance ships and focused on the Astreus. They know, Dana whispered. On the ship, Lyra's song faltered. Fear crept in. Ember roared, a sound of warning and grief. The Cathar opened fire. Plasma bolts tore through the canyon. Dana dove for cover. The Alliance Marines scrambled back to their pod. The destroyers raised shields, caught in the crossfire. Ember shot into the sky, placing himself between the Astreus and the dreadnoughts. He unleashed a wave of resonance, not to destroy but to deflect. The plasma bolts curved away, exploding harmlessly in the nebula. But the effort drained him. His light dimmed. Inside the ship, Lyra felt his pain. She pushed through her fear and sang louder, pouring her will into the binding hymn. The crown flared. The song grew stronger. The Cathar commander, furious, ordered a full barrage, but then something unexpected happened. The lead Alliance destroyer turned its weapons not on Dana, but on the Cathar. Admiral Voss's voice boomed over open comms. You will not have her. Not while I draw breath. The battle erupted. Ships clashed in the swirling gas of the nebula. Lasers cut through void. Missiles streaked like comets. Ember danced between them, weaving shields of sound, protecting the Astreus. Dana ran back to the ship, leaping aboard as the ramp closed. How much longer? She gasped. 10 hours, Lyra said, voice strained. But I am losing strength. Ember landed beside her, exhausted. His wings drooped. Dana looked at the view screen. The Alliance was losing. 2 destroyers were crippled. The Cathar pressed forward. She made a decision. Tina, patch me into all local channels, Cathar. Alliance, every ship out there. Captain. They'll trace the signal. Do it, Tina obeyed. Dana took a breath and spoke, her voice clear and strong. Listen to me, all of you. The Silthari princess is not hiding a weapon. She is holding back an end to everything. If you break this place, if you silence her song, you do not gain power. You unleash death on a scale none of you can imagine. I have seen her truth. I have seen her heart, and I choose to believe her. Silence. Then, from the Cathar flagship, a response, not in words, but in action. They powered down their weapons. The Cathar commander had read the old texts. He knew the legends. And in Dana's voice he heard something he had not heard in years. Certainty. The Alliance ships held fire. In that fragile peace, Lyra sang. The Astraeus floated in the calm heart of the nebula, its hull still warm from battle, its crew silent with awe. Inside, Lyra lay on the medbay cot, wrapped in a thermal blanket, her silver veins dim but steady. Ember rested beside her, his wings folded like a cloak, his breathing slow and deep. The crown of echoes sat on a nearby shelf, no longer glowing but humming faintly, a quiet song only Lyra could hear. Dana stood by the window, watching the last of the Alliance ships retreat into the distance. Admiral Voss had not spoken again, but his silence was answer enough. The Cathar were gone too, their dreadnoughts vanishing into the void like shadows at dawn. For now they were safe. But Dana knew peace was never permanent. She turned and walked back to Lyra. How do you feel? Tired, Lyra whispered, but whole. The hymn is done. The prison holds, and the entity it sleeps deeper than before, Lyra said. It may never wake, Dana nodded. She looked at Ember. He gave everything. He gave what was needed, Lyra corrected gently. And he will recover. But not here. The throne gave him strength once. It cannot do so again. He needs a place where harmony still lives. Dana understood. Virelis was gone. The Silthari were scattered. But somewhere in the galaxy there had to be a home left for them. Just then Tina entered with a data pad. Captain, we're getting a priority hail. It's from the Galactic Council. Dana frowned. On screen. The image that appeared was not Admiral Voss. It was Elder Malus. A tall, robed Silthari with eyes like polished obsidian and a face lined with centuries. He was one of the few who had escaped Virelis before the invasion. Lyra, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Child of the last line. You live. Lyra sat up slowly. Elder Malus, I thought you were lost. We are all lost, he said. Until today. The Council has seen the truth. They saw the Cathar retreat. They heard your song through the nebula's echo. They know now what we forgot. That you were never weak. You were waiting, he bowed his head. The Council offers you your throne. Virelis will be restored. Your people will return. Lyra looked down at her hands. Then at Ember. Then at Dana. I cannot go back, she said softly. Murmurs rose from the council chamber behind Malus. Why not? He asked. You are our queen. Because a throne is not a home, Lyra said. And I have found something more precious than a crown. She stood unsteady but determined. I was raised in silence, taught to hide. But Dana Crew saw me. She chose me when no one else would. And Ember, he woke because of her courage, not my bloodline. I do not need a palace. I need purpose. And I will not leave the one who gave me a second chance. Dana's eyes widened. Lyra, the Silthari do not rule from thrones anymore. Lyra continued, her voice growing stronger. We protect. We heal. We remember. And I can do that better here. On this ship, with this crew, with this human who believes in balance. Elder Malus was silent for a long time. Then he smiled, a rare, warm thing. Then perhaps the old ways were wrong. Perhaps the future is not in crystal halls but among the stars with those who see clearly. He turned to Dana. Captain Cruz. The Council formally apologizes for its blindness. You are no longer a rogue. You are a guardian of the First Order. Dana nodded. Thank you. The transmission ended. Tina grinned. So, we keep her. Looks that way, Dana said, smiling. Over the next few days, the Astraeus became something new, not just a scout ship, but a sanctuary. Lyra began teaching the crew the old ways, not as magic, but as science of harmony. She showed Tina how to tune comms arrays to reduce static using Silthari resonance patterns. She helped Leo stabilize the warp core by aligning its frequency with natural cosmic rhythms. Even Maya learned healing chants that eased pain and sped recovery. Ember grew stronger each day. His wings shimmered with soft light, and his hum now calmed storms in the ship's atmosphere recyclers. The crew no longer called him a pet. They called him guardian. But Dana knew their journey was not over. One evening, as they drifted near the edge of the nebula, she found Lyra on the observation deck, staring at the stars, Thinking about Virellis, Dana asked. Not Virellis, Lyra said. The Cathar. They left too easily. They wanted the entity. They will not stop. You think they'll try again? Not with ships, Lyra said. With lies. They will tell other worlds that the Silthari hoard power, that the song is a weapon. They will turn the galaxy against us. Dana sighed. Then we have to be ready. Lyra turned to her. There is one place they cannot reach. One place the song began, where the graveyard of dead gods, Lyra said. It is not a myth, it is real. A cluster of dead stars and ancient ruins beyond the rim. It is where the first Silthari learned to sing, and where the dragons were born. Why go there? Because the Cathar do not know its location, Lyra explained. Only the royal line does. And if they ever break the prison again? The graveyard holds the final key. The Song of Unmaking. Dana's blood ran cold. You mean a weapon? No, Lyra said firmly. A choice. If the entity wakes, the Song of Unmaking can return all things to silence. Not destroy, but reset. It is the last mercy. Dana looked at her. You would do that if I must, Lyra said. But I would rather never have to. They decided to go. The Astraeus jumped to warp, heading for the far rim beyond mapped space. The journey would take weeks. But they had time. And for the first time, they had hope. Along the way, Lyra began training, not with weapons, but with voice. She practiced new songs, ones that could mend rifts in space, calm solar flares, even guide lost ships home. Ember joined her, his resonance blending with hers in perfect harmony. Dana watched them, proud and humbled. One night, as the ship passed through a field of frozen comets, Lyra came to Dana's quarters. I have something for you, she said. She held out a small pendant, made of the same black crystal as the crown, but shaped like a dragon curled around a star. It is a bond token, Lyra explained. It will let you hear Ember's song even in silence, and it will let him hear your heart. Dana took it, her fingers brushing Lyra's. Thank you. You gave me a place, Lyra said. Now you are part of the song. As the weeks passed, the crew grew closer. They shared meals, stories, dreams. Leo taught Lyra how to play an old earth guitar. Tina showed her how to dance to human music. Maya braided Lyra's hair with starlight thread. The Astraeus was no longer just a ship. It was a family. Finally, they reached the edge of known space. Before them stretched a region of absolute dark. No stars, no light, no signals. Just void. The graveyard, Lyra whispered. Ember let out a low hum, his wings flaring with soft light. Dana guided the ship forward. As they entered, the darkness parted, not with light but with memory. Ghostly images appeared. Ancient Silthari walking among ruins, dragons soaring through dead nebulae, stars being born and dying in silent cycles. They found the central spire, a tower of black stone taller than mountains, covered in runes that glowed as Lyra approached. She stepped onto the surface, Ember beside her, Dana behind. At the top of the spire sat a single stone chair, the first throne. Lyra placed her hands on it. Knowledge flooded her again, not just of the Song of Unmaking, but of every Silthari who had ever lived, their joys, their sorrows, their choices. She turned to Dana. This is where I must stay. To guard the final key. Dana's heart ached. You're leaving the ship, not forever, Lyra said. But for now, the Cathar will come. And when they do, I must be ready. Dana nodded, tears in her eyes. Then I'll stay too, Lyra smiled. You do not have to. I know, Dana said. But I choose to. And so the Astraeus settled into orbit around the graveyard of dead gods. Lyra took up watch in the spire. Ember coiled at her feet, the bond token warm against Dana's chest. They waited, not in fear but in readiness. For the galaxy had overlooked a princess once. It would not make that mistake again. The graveyard of dead gods hung in the void like a memory forgotten by time. No stars burned nearby. No comm signals passed through. Only silence, deep and ancient, wrapped around the black spire where Lyra kept watch. Ember lay coiled at her feet, his wings folded, his breath a soft hum that matched the slow pulse of the stone beneath them. Dana stood on the observation ledge of the Astraeus, eyes fixed on the spire, the bond token warm against her chest. Weeks had passed since they arrived. The crew had settled into a quiet rhythm, maintaining the ship, studying the strange energy readings from the ruins, sharing stories under the dim glow of emergency lights. They were no longer just soldiers. They were keepers of a secret older than war. But peace never lasts. On the 37th day, the censors screamed. 3 Cathar dreadnoughts dropped out of warp at the edge of the graveyard. They were larger than before, armored in stolen Sylthari crystal, their hulls etched with runes of broken harmony. At their center flew a new ship, the Sol Rend, commanded by Warlord Korak, the one who had led the invasion of Virelis. He had not come for conquest. He had come for the key. Inside the spire, Lyra felt the disturbance like a tear in a song. She stood, her silver veins glowing faintly. Ember rose with her, eyes blazing with cold blue light. "They found us," she whispered. Dana's voice came through the calm but urgent. "What do you need, time?" Lyra said. "I must reach the heart chamber. The final key is there." "I'll hold them off," Dana replied. "You cannot fight 3 dreadnoughts," Lyra said. "I don't have to beat them," Dana answered. "I just have to make them listen." She turned to her crew. Tina broadcast Lyra's location to every allied channel. Earth, Sylthari remnants, even neutral systems. Leo, reroute all power to shields and engines. Maya, prep the medbay. This is going to get loud. The Astraeus shot forward, placing itself between the Cathar fleet and the spire. Warlord Korak's face appeared on the main screen, scarred, proud, eyes burning with hunger. "Give us the princess and the dragon. The entity will make us gods." "You do not understand," Dana said. "It will unmake you. Then we will be unmade as kings," Korak growled. "Fire!" Plasma bolts streaked toward the Astraeus. Dana dodged, weaving through the fire like a dancer. The ship shook but held. Ember launched from the spire, wings spreading wide, and met the barrage with a wall of resonance. The plasma bent, twisted, and vanished into silence. The Cathar ships hesitated, but Korak was not deterred. "Target the spire. Destroy it." Before they could fire, new ships appeared on the sensors. Dozens of them. Alliance cruisers, Sylthari refugee vessels, even a few independent mercenary frigates. They had come, not because of orders, but because Dana's message had spread. The truth had traveled faster than fear. Elder Malis's voice crackled over open comms. "Korak, you stand on sacred ground. Turn back. The galaxy belongs to the strong," Korak snarled. "And today, we are strongest." The battle began. Ships clashed in the dead space, lasers cutting through darkness, missiles exploding in silent bursts. The Astraeus darted between them, drawing fire, protecting the spire. Dana flew like she had nothing to lose because she didn't. She had already found what mattered. Inside the spire, Lyra ran. Stairs spiraled downward into the heart of the graveyard. The walls pulsed with old power. Visions flashed. Sylthari singing as stars died. Dragons folding themselves into stone to sleep. The first note of creation echoing in endless dark. She reached the heart chamber. In the center floated a single orb of pure void, blacker than space yet humming with potential. This was the key, not a weapon, not a shield, but a choice. The song of unmaking. To sing it would end all things, reset the universe to silence. No pain, no war, no loss, but also no love, no hope. No second chances. Lyra placed her hands on the orb. She did not want to sing it, but if Korak broke through, she would have no choice. Above, the battle raged. Ember fought like a storm-given form. He shattered Cathar's shields with harmonic screams, turned their weapons against themselves, shielded the allied ships with walls of sound. But he was one dragon against an army. Cracks began to show in his light. Dana's ship took a direct hit. The engine sputtered. Alarms blared. "We're losing her," Leo shouted. "Not yet," Dana said, gripping the controls. "Tina, patch me through to all ships now." Her voice rang across the battlefield. "Listen to me, all of you. Lyra is not hiding a weapon. She is holding a mirror. If you break in, you do not gain power. You prove that chaos wins. But if you stop, if you choose peace, then maybe the song continues, for a moment." No one moved. Then, from the Sylthari ships, a single note rose, a soft, clear tone of harmony. One by one, the allied ships joined in, their comms tuned to the same frequency, creating a chorus of balance. The Cathar ships faltered. Even Korak paused. In that silence, Lyra made her choice. She did not sing the song of unmaking. Instead, she sang the song of remembrance. Her voice rose from the heart chamber, pure and strong, weaving through the void, touching every ship, every soul. She sang of the first stars, of dragons and dreamers, of small hands holding hope in dark times. She sang of Dana Cruz, who saw her when no one else would. The orb of void responded, not with silence, but with light. A wave of calm spread through the graveyard. The Cathar weapons powered down on their own. Their armor softened. Korak fell to his knees, tears in his eyes, hearing the voice of his lost sister in Lyra's song. A sister he had sacrificed for power long ago. The battle ended not with fire, but with tears. When it was over, the Cathar fleet turned and left, not in defeat, but in shame. The Allied ships formed a circle around the spire, not as guards, but as witnesses. Dana landed the battered Astræus on the platform. She climbed out, limping slightly, and walked to the spire's entrance. Lyra stood there, Ember beside her, the orb now quiet in her hands. "You did not unmake them," Dana said. "I reminded them they were made," Lyra replied. In the days that followed, the galaxy changed. The Galactic Council granted the Siltheri full sovereignty. Virellis would be rebuilt, not as a monument, but as a school of harmony. Elder Malus declared Lyra not a queen, but a guide. But Lyra declined the throne again. "My place is here," she said, "and there." She looked at Dana. The council, humbled and grateful, offered Dana a promotion, admiral, fleet command. A seat at the high table she declined too. "My ship is my command," she said, "and my crew is my family." So it was decided. The Astræus would remain independent, a vessel of peace, carrying Lyra and Ember as guardians of balance. They would travel the stars, teaching, healing, reminding others that even the smallest voice can change the song. On the day they left the graveyard, the crew gathered on the deck. Tina played a soft tune on her guitar. Leo fixed the last of the battle damage. Maya braided starlight into Lyra's hair one last time. Dana stood at the helm, Lyra beside her. Ember curled around the console like a living compass. "Where to now?" Dana asked. Lyra looked at the stars ahead, countless, bright, full of stories not yet told. "Wherever we are needed," she said. The Astræus leapt into warp, leaving the graveyard behind. Not as fugitives, but as keepers of a new dawn. The galaxy had overlooked a tiny alien princess once, but a human chose her above all. And in that choice, everything changed.